Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, no. Here comes the, oh. Here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah.
Before we start today's episode, I'd just like to say a big thanks to the sponsor of the podcast, Recovery. Recovery is their natural choice to rugby recovery. Recovery sells CBD treatments from 15mg all the way up to 2000mg, and prices range from just £7 up to £97 to help you budget friendly for all. If you're interested in buying CBD oils for all your needs, then Recovery is the place for you. Visit recovery.com or simply click the link in the description for more information and use the code DROPGOAL in all capitals at checkout for a 10% discount on all of your purchases. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Drop Goal podcast. On today's episode, we have a rugby league great. He played for the Warrington Wolves and Bradford Bulls. He went from dominating with the Bradford Bulls and Warrington Wolves to helping dispose of bombs in the Middle East. It's the man himself, Matty Blythe. How are you, mate? Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. How you been?
I'm not too bad myself, mate. Just looking forward to get this podcast done. How about yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, mate. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, it's an honour, mate. So glad to hear you well, and I'm pleased we could get you on the show today. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get into the questions. So first off, just for everyone who's listening, why don't you just explain a little bit about yourself and the profession you're into at the moment, as I'm sure you can probably explain it a bit better than me.
Yeah, so like you said before, I'm an ex-professional rugby league player for Warrington Wolves and Bradford Bulls. I had a career spanning I think it was about 11 years. When I was 28, 27, I did my close protection licensing. And when I retired, obviously did all my licensing. And now I am a trained, licensed and qualified close protection operative.
Yeah.
I've done some operations in Iraq for a couple of years, and then now I've come home to be the managing director of the Bankers Training Academy, which is the academy where I did my close protection training, mate.
Right. Well, it's fair to say that you've had quite an incredible career in rugby league and, of course, in your close protection work now. So growing up as a local lad, and now it's fair to say you're a Warrington legend. What would you say you've learnt the most out of your time in rugby league?
Yeah, mate. I think for me, like it was always my passion to play for my hometown club. It was my family's, my family's from Warrington, so for me to grow up in rugby league and meet the amazing people on the way, I think that's one of the best things that have come out of the game, or after retiring, you don't realize how short the career is.
Yeah.
But you do meet some amazing people on the way. And that's it, mate. Yeah, I enjoyed the sport. I still do enjoy the sport. But yeah, it was the people that you meet on the way, and you get to play with some unbelievable players, mate.
Yeah, definitely. And would you say there's been a standout moment in your career?
I think for me, mate, I think obviously as a team effort going to Challenge Cup final 2009, and then we obviously won that. And then obviously, we had a couple of more wins after that, which was amazing. Obviously, I wasn't able to play, or didn't get picked to play, which was disappointing. But to be there with the lads, to be, at Wembley with my hometown team, obviously going back to the town hall, presenting it to the fans, this, that, and the other was absolutely unbelievable. It was, one of the best days of my career, and I didn't even play.
Yeah.
Just being humble. It was just being, I wanted that trophy just as much as anyone. Again, being in a hometown lad, it was an amazing experience, mate. Obviously, going to the grand final as well. Obviously, we've pulled up a bit short there last few years.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's always our year, as the
Yeah.
as the fans always say. So who knows this year. And obviously, when we won the league as well. So when we were top of the league. We won the league leaders for the first time in God knows how many years, or the first time ever. I'm not too sure. And I got to play in that game, which was against Hull away, when we finally sealed the deal, mate. Which was amazing, absolutely amazing, just to be a part of. If it was on the bench, I was on the bench, or if it was starting, or if it was, if I wasn't playing, it's still an amazing achievement for the club. And that's what it was all about, mate. It was, was the club, mate, and the team.
Yeah, I've definitely had a brilliant time in rugby league. So I'll ask you a question I ask most when they come onto the podcast. At what age did rugby league actually come into your life properly?
I started a little bit later than probably most people do.
Mm.
I started in high school, so I started about year 7. Well, just before year 7. There was a scholarship at Beaumont, and they were having trials and that for that. I was going to Beaumont anyway, and my dad took me to my local club, which was Ryland Sharks.
Yeah.
And from there, mate, just gradually got better, gradually got more used to the contact and everything else that come with it, and I enjoyed it, mate. And then from there, I got an available slot on the scholarship, as I wasn't part of the town team because I wasn't playing, so I was very, 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 very raw. So that's how I started, mate. And then from there, obviously, went through school, and then obviously got to play academy and then first team, mate.
Yeah, and luckily for you, mate, it worked out, and it's been an absolute outstanding time in your life, I presume.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, I won't change any of it for the world. I think it's taught me a lot of lessons in life, and as a professional sportsman, even as a kid, growing up, it wasn't something that, even as a kid, to be fair, like, it wasn't something that I thought I would get to. Is obviously the first team, and playing, even the second for the club was good enough for me. So, I knew there was a lot of hard work involved in obviously being a professional sportsman. I was never the most talented kid, and I wasn't the most talented professional player either.
Yeah.
But I did work hard. I was determined to, put on that shirt, that primrose and blue, excuse me, and make the most of it, make the most of the opportunities that I got, and luckily, I had a decent enough to career to, to talk about, mate. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a good mindset to have, mate. So your first club was the Warrington Wolves, and I believe you joined the club's academy. You came up through the ranks, and finally the opportunity to go pro came around. How did the deal with Warrington come to life, and were there any other clubs interested in you?
Yeah, so obviously we went through town team growing up and things like that. And obviously we were getting to that age, 15, 16, where the scouts would obviously come to games at your local clubs. I was at Ryland Sharks and then finished my amateur career at Lee Miners. We folded, actually. We won the league at Rylands and then folded the year after, which made no sense. But so we went from there. Like, literally, you get scouted from Wigan, St. Helens, Salford, these kind of teams right near probably the northwest.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple of teams. I think mine were Salford and Wigan, and Warrington, obviously. And I only had one meeting, mate, and that was with Warrington. It was the only option for me, and the only team that I wanted to play for, and obviously build, through the town team and things like that, and through the academy. It was only one team I wanted to play for, mate, and then go from there, mate. And luckily, again, with hard work and listening to the right people as well, I got the real, the opportunities to train with some amazing players, to play with some amazing players, and it was really good, mate. Like, I had no regrets throughout my career at all.
Yeah, and I think I said it last time I spoke to you as well. I would have been able to deal with you joining Salford, but I don't think I could have dealt with you joining Wigan, mate, especially as a Warrington fan myself.
No, mate. Yeah. No, mate. Yeah, well, yeah, there's a bit of a rivalry. There was a rivalry when we were younger as well. Obviously, there was a lot of young, my age, like Sam Tompkins was my age. So, they had a lot of, Wigan always have an amazing academy.
Yeah.
But it didn't, I knew they had an amazing academy, but Warrington was always in my heart, mate. So, and I don't think my family would probably speak to me either, mate. Never mind anybody else. So, I think it would have been an awkward Christmas if I joined any other team, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you signed with the Warrington Wolves. And after signing your professional contract with Warrington, you got to pull on the Primrose and Blue for your first game day with the club. What was it like to play your first professional game with your boy old club, Warrington Wolves?
Yeah, so it was Salford away, I think. Yeah, it was Salford away, and I played all of probably 2 minutes, mate. Right. So obviously the build-up for me was absolutely, all week was that, well, probably 2 days before the build-up, obviously getting the nod from Paul Cullen at the time. Giving me some amazing advice, as well as every other coach did, Gaz Chambers, Mike McLaughlin, people like that I grew up with. And, they've taught me some, some life lessons, on and off the field. So, I had a lot of people around me to settle me down a little bit, because, I was nervous, I was anxious, but I was just wanting to get on the field, man. Training all week was amazing. Warming up, another different adrenaline rush, mate, which was, amazing. But obviously when you're itching to go on and it's half time, it's like, right, I might come on the last 10, 15 minutes. I understand it's my debut, this and the other. And I got all of 3 minutes, mate. So I didn't touch the ball, didn't make a tackle. So all that adrenaline, all that anxiety and everything like that was just, I was gutted, but at the same time, I was made up that I was playing a professional game for my boyhood club, mate, which was absolutely amazing. My family wasn't happy about it, said he should have played, but, I got opportunities in the future, to play more minutes, mate, thankfully.
Yeah, and to be fair, mate, I think everyone in the right mind would be nervous building up to their debut, to be fair, in any sport, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, I was definitely nervous, mate.
Yeah, so was your first contract decent money with the Wolves, and did it come with any perks? Because I reckon a nice little free pint down the pub would be a decent little extra, don't you think?
Yeah. So we signed. Well, obviously, when we signed, we were still young. We were still kids, basically. We was like 16, 17. The money wasn't the best. You're still an apprentice, basically. So you're getting an apprentice wage, and you're learning your trade like any other job, like any other career. And it was just like that. Like, obviously the years got, you got better, the years went on, you got more experience, and then everything followed, mate. And then that's a lot of what people have told me in the past, is don't expect it to be amazing if you're not willing to obviously put in the hard work, the dedication. If you work hard on the pitch, you work hard off the pitch, the contracts and everything like that take care of itself, mate. I remember it was Martin Afire, my agent at the time, told me that. I said, you do everything that you need to do on the pitch, then everything else will just take care of itself, mate.
Yeah, so after making your debut, when did you actually start like having a permanent role in the starting team? Did it come quickly after your first appearance, or did it take a while to settle in?
Yeah, it took a while, because I think I was 17, 18 when I made my debut. And, I remember saying last time, the players that we were starting to bring in around that time, like the Gleesons, the Kings, people like that, Bridge, Chris Bridge, people in my position, they were amazing, like absolutely unbelievable players. So it was, for me to be patient, but to keep working hard. And it did take it took a year or two until I started obviously establishing myself a little bit more into the team.
Yeah.
And, it did take a lot of time, but again, persevering, sacrifice, and that's how I try to be every single week. It was frustrating. It was frustrating as a senior player sometimes as well, but the perseverance and the sacrifice that we make, determines that you will get your break at one point, and luckily I did.
Yeah, it's definitely the best mindset to have, mate. Even if you're establishing the first team, just keep training, and if you get dropped, then just work on that and improve your performances. I think that's what makes a great player.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think, like, growing up at Warrington, we had a few coaches, amazing players, like the players that I've been able to train with, to call my friends, to call teammates, this, that, and the other, has been absolutely amazing. Like, people that I grew up watching, Adrian Morley, people like that I've had the opportunity to play with, mate. And, there's not a lot of people that can say that. And, for me to be in the same room as them, even as a kid and stuff like that, was unreal, mate. Definitely.
Yeah, mate. And that actually leads us smoothly on to our next question, what you've just mentioned then. So you've worked under some brilliant coaches, like you said, at Warrington. Obviously, Paul Cullen was in his last few years at the club in the early days of your career. And of course, the man himself, Tony Smith. What different skills and varieties of how to play the game did you learn working under such great coaches?
Yeah, I think obviously every coach has their different style of coaching. Obviously, Cullen was, was very verbal, very animated and things like that. And he was a very, very good coach, and obviously my first ever professional coach. He was very good. Jimmy Lowes, again, I had him at Warrington and Bradford, mate. Very regimented, very tough. Told you if you were shit. Sorry, mate. That's
Yes, I mean,
that. would tell you if you were absolutely terrible, and we'd be like, right, you're not playing this week, kind of thing. And Tony Smith was a bit more, psychological, and he obviously his planning and his preparation was second to none. He knew what he was like. One of the players to some extent, like he knew obviously the plan that we wanted to do. But again, we had people like Lee Brays, Monaghan's, Hodgson's, people like that put sculpting a game plan together that would beat our opposition, mate. So obviously we had amazing coaches at Warrington, and even at Bradford as well. Like Franny Cummins was absolutely amazing when I first went to Bradford, and then literally restarted my career basically at Bradford, and it was amazing. But we again, with the senior players that we had around Warrington and Bradford was like having another coach in the room, mate. Definitely.
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate. So Warrington were quite successful in your first stint with the club. Did you and the boys have any pre-game rituals or tricks up your sleeves to get ready for game day?
For me, mate, no, I did gradually get a bit more superstitious when I got a bit older.
Right.
But apart from that, I would listen to obviously the same music before kick-off. I would do certain things, little bits of, with anxiety that I'd try to get out of my system.
Yeah.
So I'd have to do certain things. But no, everyone was different. People had the headphones in. People just walk around, just chill out, this, that, and the other, massage. Everyone's different, mate. And just for myself, just gradually as I got a bit older, did get a little bit more suspicious. I wore the same boxers game day for about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
They're still in my wardrobe now. They're not looking very good, but they're still there. They're still there. But it's things like that everyone's completely different in the rituals and that, mate. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I hope those boxes have been through the wash a few times, mate. I tell you that.
I don't know where they're upstairs somewhere. They're in. I don't know where they are. They could be somewhere.
So moving on a bit in your career from 2009 to 2012, Warrington won the Challenge Cup in 09, 10 and 12. I can't imagine how surreal it must have been to experience the packed Wembley Stadium, even if you didn't play, but just to experience the raw passion from the fans, and even better to take home the cup for the Warrington faithful. Like, how did that feel for you as a local lad?
Yeah, it was amazing. Like I said before, mate, it was absolutely unbelievable. The week build-up was absolutely amazing. We've never, when I've been involved in the training sessions and then the build-up into the Challenge Cup finals, going to Wembley, it was the best week of training I've ever been involved in. And I think a lot of the players that were there would actually say the same. We didn't drop the ball. We were on the money all week. We went over to London to train. We went to Wembley to train. And everything was, the planning, the preparation that we put into it just went amazingly well. And on game day, you could tell that, no matter who we were playing, everything that we did on game throughout the week, went out into to the 80 minutes, and the boys did the job. And, it was absolutely amazing, unreal.
Yeah, mate. So I've got down here, you can play quite a few positions. You've got the wing, a centre, even a loose forward. Did you have a favourite position when playing?
It did depend on. I guess I don't know actually. I did like centre. Centre was a good position. I was one of them. I was strong enough to play second row, but I wasn't really big enough.
Right.
And I was big enough to play centre enough, but I wasn't quite fast enough. So it was one of them. It was like I was a versatile kind of player where no matter where you probably would have put me, I would have ran my blood to water. And that was probably one of my attributes as a player where no matter where you put me, you'd always get 200% out of me. Regardless if it was good or it was bad. So it was, like every professional has bad games, every professional has amazing games. But I would always give my best mate. You know, I played him on the wing on the £1 million game for Bradford. Played prop, you know, at some point in my career, you know, in Super League, loose forward, second row, fullback, you know, centre. So I have played in quite a lot of positions, but I know what the coaches wanted from me and needed from me.
Yeah.
And that, you know, was just a lot of energy, a lot of, you know, dedication to the cause kind of thing as well. So, it's hard to pinpoint a position that I enjoyed the most. It really is, mate, to be fair.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned versatility as well, because a couple of months back, towards the start of my podcast, I interviewed Widnes, like an upcoming star, Lloyd Roby, and he's also quite a versatile player. And he mentioned that it's quite hard cementing a permanent spot in the starting team if you're that versatile. Is that the case in at Warrington and Bradford?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, I think at Bradford I got more of an identity at Bradford, which was a good thing. I learned obviously a lot of my trade at Warrington and with the players that was around me. And at Bradford, you know, it was an identity where I was a centre and obviously could play in different positions. With the versatility, it is very, very difficult to, you know, to be in that position for so long.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Like, again, you know, the players that I've played with, the people like Simon Griggs, you know, Chris Bridge, people that are very versatile. Like Simon Griggs is probably one of the best players I've ever played with because of his versatility, because he's literally, you know, the alpha of versatility, and he was absolutely amazing in every single position. So it's not a bad thing, but again, it's, you know, it's gold dust. I think it's worth its weight in gold, mate. If you've got a player on the bench or you've got someone in your team that can play in a numerous amount of positions, and you've only got one player that can play one, then it kind of ties your hands. But again, you're not going to be. It works, but it's got pros and cons, mate. Basically, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely does have its pros and cons. So Mike actually tells me you've had a few trips to Australia, one on a schoolboys tour and also on training camps with the Wolves. Can you tell us a bit about those experiences, and also how different is rugby league and the setup over in Australia compared to here in the Northern Hemisphere?
Yeah. So we went in, I think it was year 10, year 11, obviously with Mike.
Yeah.
It was, again, I would say he's probably been one of the biggest influences on my career, mate. He's, you know, obviously as a young kid, coming in raw, as a 11, 12-year-old, you know, he taught me about goal setting, taught me about things I should be doing at school, off the pitch and on the pitch. And then obviously if the things work out off the pitch, everything works out on the pitch. And Mike was absolutely amazing. Taught me how to be humble, taught me how to respect and stuff like that. And if it wasn't for Mike, I 100% wouldn't be sitting to you, speaking to you.
Yeah.
100% wouldn't have been a professional, mate, because without him guiding me through school and everything like that, he's been absolutely amazing in my career, mate. So I just thought I'd get out there before. So we went to Australia. So we went to Australia as kids, mate. Yeah, so we went about year 10, year 11, I think it was, and we played 3 games over there and won all 3, mate. We had a very, very good scholarship, very, very good team at Beaumont. We had, you know, a lot of good players that you know, went through the system through year 7 all the way up to year 11, and obviously went through academy and you know, things like that as well. And I think that was the first time where I thought, obviously, I could have been a rugby league player. Right. Where I was just like, well, I probably, you know, can make it, you know. I got man of the match 2 out of the 3 games, which was absolutely amazing. It was another landmark, another amazing achievement on a personal basis. And it was, we trained in the morning, we went to school, then we trained at night, and we did that for a good 6-7 months, mate. So I took that into, obviously, the academy and stuff like that. We went to Australia with Warrington for 3 weeks on a pre-season tour, and we played South Sydney in a game.
Okay.
South Sydney. And that was amazing in itself. Again, training over there, training with different people. We had Andrew Johns as well training us. You know, it was absolutely unbelievable. So going there as an adult, we went out a couple of nights, which was very, very good also. But,
Yeah.
we had got a bit of downtime and it was good. I've been very, very lucky and very fortunate to obviously go to Australia twice and do the thing that I loved, mate. Definitely. So that was, amazing. But again, look what you're saying about the hype and everything. It is literally like football over here.
Yeah.
As soon as we were off the plane, obviously we had Joe Monaghan, Adrian Morley, a lot of the Australian lads that have obviously played there in the past, and there was press everywhere. There was cameras, there was news reporters everywhere. By the time we got to the hotel, we were on the news.
Yeah.
I was like, this happened, mate. We barely make the Guardian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a bit so surreal as I think I was 22, 23 then. About 21, 22, yeah. So it was amazing. Absolutely unreal, mate.
Yeah, I think the exposure is definitely key in Australia to the success of rugby league.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, over in England and the UK, like rugby league doesn't really get a mention, does it? To be honest.
No, and that's the media, mate. That's obviously how rugby league's dealt with in the media. We get a lot of exposure on Sky Sports. We don't get enough.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, I think we're the second most watched sport on Sky. I believe that somewhere. I might be lying, but I believe if it was me, I watch football and rugby. That's basically it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, the media obviously doesn't push rugby league as much, but it's an enjoyable sport to watch. Like, I recently went to Dubai for work.
Yeah.
And we watched the grand final. We watched it. We couldn't have watched. And I tried to teach people, obviously, the game and things like that, saying, well, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And we couldn't have asked for a better game, obviously, in the last year's grand final for how good the sport is.
Yeah.
And it's literally probably the best game I've ever witnessed. I was like, wow, it was absolutely unbelievable. Still mad now thinking about it. But yeah, and even they said, like, the sport's unreal. Like, how is it not popular? Well, it's popular, but you know what I mean? It's not football.
Yeah. It's not mainstream, is it?
Oh, no, but you know what I mean? But it was, I'm glad that game, teaching a few people, down in Dubai, but it was amazing. Absolutely amazing, mate.
Yeah, mate, get more people involved with the sport. That's all we need.
I know.
Right. So after a successful time with Warrington, you went to the legendary Bradford Bulls. What moved you away from Warrington, and what made you choose Bradford as your next destination?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this before. Obviously, I knew I was coming. I had a year left on my contract. I was in and out of the team. I was getting to that age of 20, 22, 23, something like that.
Right.
And I just wanted my own identity, like we were saying, back to the obviously cementing a position or established in a team. I went to Bradford and I got that. Like, it was amazing. I was playing every week, but I didn't take it for granted. I knew, obviously, from growing up, being in and out of the team, and obviously having to working harder and harder every other week. It made me work harder being the starting centre at Bradford, and I played really well. The first year, I had a few injuries along the way.
Yeah.
But I was happy, and it was nice to go to a club and get some more identity, get some more game time, and work more on myself. Definitely, and work more on myself on and off the pitch. With different communities. Obviously, I've always known Warrington and Warrington's community. To obviously go over to Yorkshire and to Bradford and to be around people that out of my comfort zone. I was still living in Warrington, so I was traveling every day.
Yeah.
I literally lived around the corner from the training ground at Warrington. So getting out of my comfort zone was massive. And I do say this to if his players are in the same position, obviously coming out of your comfort zone, coming out of the club that you grew up with, this and the other, going to another club doesn't mean that you failed at that club. It just means that you just need to find yourself somewhere else. And then if you go back to the club, you go back to the club. If you don't, then it wasn't meant to be, and then you just crack on and just carry on with your career.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So you went through quite a lot with the Bulls. They went into administration. They got relegated in the 2014 season. How did everyone at the club, as well as the fans, cope with the big changes happening at Bradford?
Yeah, so when I got there, it was taken over by another guy that was very extravagant, very extrovert. And I thought we were all right. I thought we were fine. We had a decent-ish first year. We just missed the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then the year after, we went into administration and we went straight into like minus 12 points.
Yeah.
So we were always on catch-up, and I thought that was always on our minds. We were coming in pre-season. Pre-season's harder. Anyone will tell you pre-season's a tough time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so obviously having meetings about administration and being paid and this, that, and the other did add to that, definitely. And we lost obviously some amazing players, Screws, Bateman, Gale, players like that, and Whitehead, people like that we lost, who were superstars. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
You're amazing now, and
Yeah.
to lose people like that was devastating for the club. And obviously to have the minus 12 points, this, that, and the other, it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah.
I don't think Gailey left until, I'm not too sure, I can't remember. But we did end up losing these guys, and it was a tough situation. But as a team, we pulled through. We got relegated. Some people left. I wanted to stay. I loved the club. I thought obviously the community was amazing. The fans obviously were amazing. We had an amazing following. That the team was really, really good, and everyone got on. Everyone really, really got on, and it was a good thing to come after the game and you go and see your girlfriends and whatever, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And it was really good, mate. It was a good vibe, and I didn't want to lose that, and that's why I stayed, mate, because it was such a good atmosphere.
Yeah, and dedication is definitely key, mate. So do you still follow the Bulls, and do you think they'll be back in Super League soon, or is money and debts or whatever the clubs are into, do you think that's still a problem they need to sort out before they can get promoted back into Super League?
Yeah, definitely. I think they need some kind of stability for a few years before they even bother making licensing and obviously putting their licensing towards Super League. I think they did it this year. I think it might have been just publicity stunt or something like that. But they need stability. They need a good run of form. Obviously on and off the pitch with finances, this, that, and the other. And I do believe that they'll be back in Super League. I'm not too sure when, but I do think it's going to take them a number of years to obviously get that stability financially, and hopefully we can get back at Odsal as well. I'm not too sure what the plans are for that, but so I played in Leeds and Bradford derbies where there's 20,000-25,000 there, and you need that back. You need the Bradford Leeds derby back and the full front. You need, it's one of the best derbies I've played in, and it was. Bradford need to be in Super League, and everyone that'll tell you that who you ask, it does miss it. They do miss Bradford, and obviously because of the legacy and the history that they've got, it would be nice to have them back in the big time one day, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's definitely something that I'd like to see in the future, and it's funny you mentioned them going back to Odsal, hopefully, because I actually read something today that they've got plans to hopefully move back, and the atmosphere that ground creates and the name that Bradford holds, that really they should be in Super League, shouldn't they? That's where they belong, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I remember playing it even in the Championship. We didn't get amazing crowds, this, that, and the other, but when obviously the Bradford fans there, but they stuck with us. They stuck with us through. They've been through what 2-3 administrations, and there's still people turning up. There's the fans that the most loyal that I've ever met.
Yeah,
and then speaking to the game, that they want nothing but the best for the Bulls, and they obviously they're switching grounds. They're going to Dewsbury or Batley or whatever, or Dewsbury, I think it is, and then still, the people are still sticking behind them, which is amazing. So yeah, to get people to get the fans back at Odsal, to get that packed again would be absolutely amazing. It's an amazing ground, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it'd be perfect, mate. So you've had quite a few injuries throughout your career, which obviously have halted your performance, and I believe was one of the reasons you retired. What would you say was the worst injury you've ever had?
I've been unlucky with hamstrings. I've been unlucky with just little niggles. I've had a shoulder reconstruction that was back end of my career. I've ripped all the tendons in my foot, but probably the worst one was my back. And
Right.
I had problems for about a year. I was getting epidurals in the disc over a period of time, and it just stopped working. So nothing was really helping. So then we decided to burn the disc from the inside, which it doesn't sound nice, and it wasn't nice either.
Yeah.
But you're awake during the procedure, and it just didn't go right. Unfortunately, less than 1% get an infection from the procedure, and I got that. So,
Right.
and it was one of them where I was home, and I was passing in and out of consciousness. It was horrendous. The pain was literally, making me pass out. That's how bad it was. And I had to go to hospital for weeks, and then I had to have antibiotics through it. It was in my neck, and then I think it went into like a valve near my heart.
Okay.
So we had to have like intrusive antibiotics, made for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then even then gradually trying to get back in the swing of things, getting back into to building muscle again and running and things like that, mate. And it was a tough year, very, very tough year. Luckily, I made it back for the playoffs and the middle eights, and contributed to that, mate. I think pretty good.
Yeah, and it's great that you can look back on that injury and just obviously it went wrong at first, but luckily it's fine now, I presume.
Yeah, it's not too bad at the minute. I'm not getting hit for a living anymore, and not really anyway. So, I'm not getting taking that impact anymore. So yeah, I settled down quite a lot now.
Yeah, it's good to hear. And also, do you think, especially if you're a younger player, that having an injury and having to go through loads of operations and getting back fit through the physio, do you reckon that can put a player off rugby league and actually change their whole attitude and their mindset of the game?
Yeah, I think it can. I think there's pros and cons to that. I think depending what kind of person you are, or I know kids that just throw themselves into anything. Like I remember watching my little brother play, and kids are mad. Like literally will fly at the line and start shoulder charging people, and they love it. They absolutely love it. They get injured. They'll get up and go again. And I think that does build. As a kid, I watched Danny Walker play. When he was younger, players like that, and he was exactly the same, fearless, absolutely fearless as a kid, and he's exactly the same now. And it's different. I think sometimes some people might whimper a little bit about getting injured, but you get injured by obviously not doing the correct technique, this, that, and the other anyway. So that's what the training's for. So yeah, it's mad, absolutely mad. But yeah, I think it can vary. It's got pros and cons to it, definitely.
Yeah, I think you can learn from an injury as well, like you said, because like you mentioned, you said if you get an injured, there's obviously something not going correct.
The skill and the fundamentals probably missing, and then that's how you learn. Again, you get injured. If you've done something wrong, your head's in the wrong position during a tackle, this, that, and the other. You learn, and you learn the hard way, I guess.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So your time at Bradford was truly a roller coaster, some ups and some downs. When Bradford were in the £1 million game and eventually lost, how did the fans react? I mean, they are the heart and soul of rugby league, and especially Bradford. So it must have been gutting, mate.
Yeah, it was. It was devastating. It was a massive low point, professionally, definitely. We did all the hard work. We did 90% of the work, and I saying the 10% obviously was the £1 million game, but it was a big, massive 10%. We beat Salford, we beat Lee, we beat some decent teams, mate, along the way. And we just missed out a couple of minutes, some wrong decisions. I played wing that game. I ended up scoring one and one disallowed, one, it was devastating, mate. It was absolutely devastating. This is what you get in rugby league. I think the passion and the desire that you have as a player can, go either way. You can win, you can be on top of the world, or you can, be, relegated again, or obviously staying in the Championship. So, but that's what we play for. We obviously know, there's good times ahead. But again, throughout the career, I think every player's probably had a really low point, and that was it. That was definitely it, mate. It was disappointing, but we stayed and we kept going, mate. We definitely tried and tried, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, so you called it quits with the Bulls in 2016 to join the Wolves again for the next season. Did you leave because you wanted to play Super League rugby again? And how did the new deal come about?
Yeah, so I was that year. I was halfway through the year, and then I knew I needed a shoulder reconstruction,
Right.
and then carried on playing with the Bulls until obviously my shoulder basically fell off. So,
Okay.
and so I knew I was having the operation at the end of the year, and I wanted something different. I thought I've been there for 4 years, 2 years in Super League, 2 years in the Championship, and I wanted something different. And I spoke to numerous clubs in Super. I spoke to a couple of clubs in Super League, but I wanted something different. I wanted a bit more life experience. So I spoke to clubs, feeder clubs down in Australia,
Right.
and nearly signed for a club there until Richie Mathers rang me on the way to Bradford. I said, "Have you signed anywhere yet?" And I went, "No, mate, not yet, but I'm looking to this week."
Mm.
And he told me not to sign anywhere because Tony wants to speak to you. So and then that was it. We literally the next day spoke with Tony, and everything that he said was felt right. Felt like the right opportunity to go back to my hometown club, a bit more experienced, a bit more weathered, and try and establish myself again into the Warrington team, mate.
Yeah, and I think the last time you spoke to me, did you meet Tony Smith outside Tesco's or something like that?
Yeah, we went. Well, yeah, we went to because obviously the stadium's it was nothing glamorous. It's no,
Yeah.
it's not going out for champagne and caviar or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's literally a local breakfast at Tesco, mate.
Yeah.
But yes, we went to obviously the grounds there, and Tesco's just over the way. So I met him there with Carl Fitzpatrick, and we had a good chat. Like obviously, I've known him for years.
Yeah.
He's coached me for numerous years. I know Carl as well. He's been the way his journey as well, coming managing director basically of of one of the biggest rugby league clubs in the country is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And we had a chat. We spoke about what could happen, and would I want to come back, kind of thing. And we didn't decide right there, sorry, but my mind was swaying towards Warrington and going back and having another shot at it, mate.
Yeah, definitely. So you joined the Wolves for what would be your last year in rugby league.
Yeah.
And personally, I think you retired quite early. What led you to that decision?
Yeah, so obviously the prelim contract talks and everything like that of me coming back to the club was amazing, this, that, and the other. And then I just didn't enjoy my year. And that's nothing to do with the club or anything like that. It was just me as a person. Like,
Right.
I couldn't really get motivated anymore to do what I do for what I wanted to do for a living. And I had times like that in my career where I didn't fancy it anyway. Everyone has that, you're only human. Rugby players are only human. There are times in the career where things don't go their way. And, this didn't pass. So I knew something was wrong. I didn't have that smile on my face anymore. And I wasn't enjoying my rugby. I wasn't enjoying training. I wasn't even enjoying going to training. And I knew there was something that I needed to do, and I needed to change. And I didn't want to play rugby anymore. I love the sport. I love people in the sport. I love my time in the sport. But for me, I was only 28 when I retired.
Yeah.
I didn't want to play anymore, mate. So, so I made the decision probably about 3-4 months before the year. Told Tony that I was retiring, and that was it, mate. And then unfortunately, I had a bad year with injuries.
Yeah.
But that had a little bit to do with it, and it was just more. Yeah, it was just some time for some life experience, some time for something different in my life, mate.
Yeah, and I think no matter what the age, because how physical rugby league is as well, there is a time where you have to make that decision and move on in your life. I think anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Like I still feel fresh now. I still feel decent enough to play and things like that. But I just mentally, I wasn't there. Like mentally, I didn't feel like I wanted to play anymore. And that's the biggest. Physically, I could have been, the best athlete in the world.
Yeah.
But if I'm not there mentally, then it's pointless. So yeah, for me, it was just a time for a change.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there, mate. So you moved to close protection work after your rugby career. So what was your motive behind this decision?
So I've always been intrigued by it. I've always wanted to do it as a kid when I was younger. I actually went to, I think it's Connections. I think there was like the like like the pathway kind of people. Like
Yeah,
obviously
yeah, yeah.
for if you want to be a plumber, they'll tell you how to do it, this, that, and the other. So I went, obviously, I think it was in town at the time, and then obviously in school.
Right.
And they just basically you need to be in the military, this, that, and the other. And so I just didn't pursue it, obviously.
Mm.
And I did P Company when I was younger, which is the selection stage to become a paratrooper, which was another amazing experience. Something I will never do again if anyone even paid me,
Right.
because it was. But yeah, so I did all my licensing whilst I was playing at Warrington. Warrington was kind enough within my contract talks to give me educational money, which I literally spent every penny.
Yeah.
Did medical licensing, did my CP licensing, and I knew a guy that was very, very high up in the industry, and he got me a job overseas in Iraq, mate. Soon, like literally retired in September. I was out in Iraq for November, mate.
Yeah, and that moves us smoothly on. So you must have faced some personal dangers when you went out in Iraq almost daily. What was expected of you out in the Middle East, sorry, and what was daily life like out there?
Yeah, so obviously I was obviously trained, licensed, and qualified with the company that I'm the director for now, Vanquish.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, I knew what I was doing. The skill set I obviously was learned on during obviously the course, but obviously that comes like everything else, like rugby league. You can learn how to pass a ball, but you can learn how to tackle, but you need to put that into practice in the practical element,
Yeah.
and get more experience. And that's what I wanted. And obviously, I obviously dove into the deep end. Obviously, going straight into, I did a few operations in London beforehand, obviously with the company, and just went straight into it, mate. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. Daily missions, were obviously going to places, infrastructure such as hospitals, schools that were turned into like kind of bomb factories, or where ISIS took a threshold. And
Yeah.
I took my clients there, which were bomb disposal experts, and that was basically our daily routine. We'd be out for 5-6 hours, depending on little bits that would obviously happen through the day or weather or anything. You know what I mean? So that was us, mate. And the life is it's not a glamorous. You're not living in. You're not at home for one. You're not with family. You're not with partners. This, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So it was difficult. It was difficult, but I got that dedication. I got that sacrifice again, which I enjoyed to do as a rugby league player. So I still got all that. I got obviously camaraderie with the lads and people around me, which was amazing, which I miss, which I couldn't live without. So yeah, it was nice to obviously transfer my skills as a professional rugby league player into obviously close protection and keep building and obviously not taking it for granted. You
Yeah.
get the opportunity to take it with both hands, mate, and that was and that's what I did.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant, mate. And I mean, it might not be for everyone, but for anyone who is listening and might be looking to get into the work that you do, what sort of roles can close protection work offer? Because I believe you're trained in quite a few different things.
Yeah, so obviously collectively as a license, you can work in pretty much all the security sector. So events, man guarding, asset protection, residential protection, covert protection, things like surveillance, counter surveillance, things like that, technical surveillance, countermeasures, private investigations, things like that. And it opens a lot of these doors. Cybersecurity, if you wanted to go onto that as well.
Right.
It's not a part of the licensing, but it's something that I've reverted, but I'm going towards, which is really, really good, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
So it opens up a lot of doors, mate, and you can obviously do medical licensing and things like that as well going forward. So the job wise, everything's different all the time, which is amazing. Every team, like again in rugby league, and the transferable from job to job. Every week's completely different. Every game plan's different, and that's why I like this, because the job might be the same, but the objective and the primary objective, the secondary objective might be different, mate. Which is keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant, mate. So you actually had the opportunity to make a comeback in the Rob Burrow match, which was such a unique event. I think everyone can agree. So do you think there's something special about the rugby league family which other sports just simply don't have?
100%, 100%. I think obviously with Rob Burrows and the MND, I think the rugby league community is just pulled together.
Yeah, yeah.
It's brought new fans in. It's brought thousands of people that have supported Rob and his journey, and other people, of course. I think it's rugby league as a we beat the shit out of each other for 80 minutes. You know what I mean? But we'll shake each other's hand and we'll have a beer with each other, or we'll eventually have a chat, this, that, and the other. And that's the way the rugby league is. We're not the best paid in the world. But the communities that we work in, and the tight group that we have is not pulled together, but just wanted to be a part of Rob's journey and help along the way.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and obviously everyone in rugby league wishes Rob all the best. And I've actually seen recently he's got a book coming out soon, so I'll definitely be getting that, as I'm sure you will. Are you much of a reader?
To be honest with you, I'm not. I will be getting the book 100%.
Yeah.
But no, I do like a good podcast. I like to listen to music quite a lot. I don't read that much. If I need to read, I will need. I'm in the middle of a course at the minute, and I need to do a lot of reading, so which is a bit tedious. But no, I'm not a massive reader, mate. To be honest, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to me. Obviously, I'm still in school, so I probably should be reading a bit more. But I'm quite similar to you. I enjoy listening to music and podcasts, but I think reading it's just in between for me. If I have to do it, I'll do it. But I'll definitely be getting that Rob Burrow book, like you said.
Yeah, 100%. Like to hear about his story in and out of rugby league, will to put it into words, it's going to be amazing. Playing in the game was absolutely amazing. It was breathtaking. Like when he come on the field for the last 5 minutes, I was in bits. Literally,
yeah.
I thought to be a part of it was a privilege, and amazing.
Yeah, mate, it's absolutely brilliant. So I heard recently that you came back from a trip from Dubai, which was actually meant to be a short work trip. How did that end up lasting a lot longer than it was meant to?
Yeah, so obviously with Vanquish, it's called the Vanquish Group, and we have a lot of we have the training academy, we have security services, we have surveillance services, and we have the technical surveillance countermeasures international, which is the reason why I was in Dubai, which is basically your book sweeping. So we're looking for illicit devices such as recording, listening, wiretaps, vehicle tracking devices, things like that. So we are established in a number of continents now, which is good. I think it's 5. Only 6. I don't know. Is there 6? I don't know. Don't, please. So we're in Australia, Canada, places like that. And we've been went to Dubai. Yeah, went to Dubai in October. And I was buzzing, like obviously getting away would be really, really nice, getting a bit of sun and obviously working as well. So I was initially supposed to be there for a task for 4 days.
Yeah.
And because we had more inquiries that come in that pretty fast, I stayed there for 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then come home again for 4 days for a task in Manchester and London, and then had to go back again for 4 weeks. So 2 months I was there, mate, collectively until December the 22nd. So I got home for Christmas, which was nice. So I got home for Christmas, which was nice. But yeah, it was nice to be away. Met some amazing people out there, connected with a lot of people, networked a lot of people in there, and obviously got into, to see the nightlife of Dubai and obviously its infrastructures and and obviously work as well, mate. I can't forget that, can I? So yeah, working over there was amazing, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to experience Dubai as well. It's such a brilliant place, and at least you got to experience a nice couple months in sunny Dubai. Because over here at the moment it's snowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
anything's better than the weather, isn't it, over here?
Well, this is the best country in the world if it's got sun.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah, 100%. So
It's absolutely
yeah, it's brilliant. So to finish off the podcast, sorry, we'll do some quickfire questions as always. So question 1: who is the standout player you've played alongside?
Libras.
All right. Question 2: what has been the highlight of your time in close protection?
Becoming the managing director of the Vanquish Training Academy.
Right. Question 3: which is harder to tackle, a huge prop or a nippy halfback?
Oh, nippy halfback.
All right. Question 4: which team did you hate coming up against the most?
Oh Jesus. I'm going to say Catalans when they were all massive.
Yeah.
When I first started, I can't remember. Like Fekir, people like that scared me as a kid. They were just massive. All of them were massive. They used to hate playing against them.
Yeah, mate. Question 5: who is the toughest player you've come up against?
Willie Manu.
And finally, question 6, and last time you got a bit confused on this question, so I'll say it a bit slower.
Oh my, yes.
If you had to choose, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
I'll just go for the little duck-sized horses. 100 of them. They're only tiny. That's tiny, that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it depends what type of duck, really.
Well, yeah. No, they're about that big, aren't they? I said, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You sticking with the 100 duck-sized horses?
Well, I'll go for the one because there's one of them in there, but it's a big one in it. I don't know. Any of it, nothing. No, I don't know.
I don't know which I'd choose either. I think a horse-sized duck would be lethal, but
yeah. To be honest, if I see one of them anyway, I'm rather capturing it and becoming a billionaire, or it's going to eat me. So either way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So before we finish off the podcast, do you have anything you'd like to say to any of the young listeners who are trying to make it in the world of rugby league?
I just think obviously stay in school, always school first.
Yeah.
I just think obviously dedication to the cause, sacrifice. You're gonna have to sacrifice a lot, determination, and that's it. I think obviously the talent can only take you so far.
Yeah.
It can only take you so far. Talent, you've got to do the rest.
Yeah, 100% agree. So thank you for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. It was great that I've been able to have an opportunity to speak to you all about rugby, and especially your close protection work. It's really fascinating. Once again, thanks for joining us, and hopefully I can get you back on the podcast sometime in the near future for another brilliant episode, mate. It's been great.
Yeah, we'd love to, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me, mate.
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah, here comes the, no, here comes the, oh, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah, here comes the.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Drop Goal Podcast. We'd just like to say a big thanks again to our podcast partner, Recovery, for sponsoring today's episode. Head over to recovery.com to check out their range of all natural products, and remember to use the code DROPGOAL in all capitals at checkout for 10% off all your orders.